Hey, everybody. Jeff Vosik here, Chief Marketing Officer and partner in crime over here at GDW Inc. Got another great sourcing mini camp lunchtime webinar for you today, all about purchase orders and getting purchase orders correct, as it can cost you a lot of money and a lot of time if you don't. For those of you that really quick may not know who Alan is, actually, let me do a quick little housekeeping for those of you that have not been on one of our webinars before. One of the biggest and most fun parts about these webinars is the questions. So if you have a question, the way we like to do that so that we don't open up the lines and open ourselves up to feedback and dogs in the background and screaming kids in the background and road noise in the background is we ask you, as soon as you have a question, as we're going through this, type it in the questions section of the GoToWebinar control panel, and then at the point in time in the webinar when we get to the Q&A section, we will answer all the questions. Don't hesitate. There are no dumb questions. But anyways, for those of you that don't know who Alan is, really quick, Alan is a 16-year online retail and digital retail veteran. He hails from a little town outside of Austin, Texas, lives there with his family, is a great family man, husband and father, and has a passion for flying, but also from a business perspective has a huge passion for helping other e-commerce sellers grow their business and create a business of depth and a business that creates long-term sustainability and financial wherewithal for you. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Mr. Alan Basinger on the line. How are you, man?
Good, man. How about you?
Awesome.
I've been back there working, I was checking on the guys out in the warehouse who were doing production on one of our long-term customers' products, and it's really cool to see the progression of the products. And it was actually Inga, you know Inga, Jeff. And
Oh, yeah.
yep, and when he bought it the first time he was selling it, he had it just in a poly bag with a sticker on it, and then it got progressively a little better. Now it's in its own box with a nice label, and you can just see the progression as you find those products that do really well, and start reordering them and making them better and improving them to get them retail ready. So it was really cool out there checking out what was happening and seeing that. It's why he's successful and why it's going on. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, this is the next section in our mini camp, and it's going to be kind of interesting. I think you guys are going to find this interesting. I played with it a little bit, and I threw a little humor in there, and I want to see if you guys can get it, if you see it when it happens. But really what we want to talk about are China suppliers, and we're going to talk a lot about just the mentality, the social aspects of Chinese manufacturers and Chinese suppliers, and kind of why they are the way they are. Because if we understand why they do what they do, then it makes it easier for us to develop plans to do what we need to do to ensure that everybody is happy. The first thing, or the biggest challenge that I see most people have with their China suppliers is basically not getting this part right. This is the part that really can make or break you in many ways. And so getting this right is super important. If you fail here, you're more than likely gonna have challenges. So let's start it off here. We're going to start out talking about addictions. And for those of you who are addicts, well, I apologize. Hopefully you can chime in here and give us an issue. I'm addicted to webinars, apparently. It's my fourth one this week. So China has addiction to speed, and that's not the drug. It's about how fast they do things. The Chinese basically want to do things extremely quickly. If you've ever looked at their turnaround time or talked to them about how fast they're going to turn around a product, you can see that. Okay, they have a saying, and I would mess it up and can't type in Chinese characters, but basically it translates into get yours today because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. If you look at the roots of the Chinese culture, one generation ago the communists were ruling. And when the communists took over in China, they forced everyone to earn the same money. the rich people, all their money was taken away from them and redistributed to the masses. And for those of you in the United States, we've heard this one recently. Rich people were shamed and forced to wear signs and work as farmers in the rural areas. Those people are still alive, okay? So they remember this. And so they have a fear socially that they're going to basically, that they could have everything taken away from them at any moment. It's a healthy paranoia. At the time, basically, the average monthly salary was $62. If you were a doctor, a farmer, didn't matter what you did, a lawyer, $62 a month. Now, their average salary is over $12,000 a month. So this mistrust of the government by most Chinese has caused a mindset that they need to do everything they can as fast as they can to get rich, to make money, because they don't know when it's going to be taken away. So as a business person, culturally, on the social ladder in China, business people are looked at with respect, more respect than just the common citizen or the customer. A customer is actually not higher than the business or business person on the social rung. As a matter of fact, a lot of business people look at customers with a kind of a distrust, right? And that's a challenge because they are keen at negotiating. They're masters at negotiating. And you know, if I'm old enough to remember the old adage in the United States, and it was buyer beware. We had Ralph Nader, who was a consumer advocate in the 70s and early 80s, who went around pointing out businesses that were taking advantage of consumers. And I think that's a good thing, that we should have people that let people know about companies that take advantage of people, but at the same time, the customer is not always right. The customer may not understand, may not know what's going on, or the customer may just be wanting to take advantage of you. If you look at online sales today, there's a percentage, and I've been doing this a long time and I love to track trends. There's a percentage of customers who try to game the system, basically. That's a good way to put it. They try to game the system in their advantage and at the disadvantage of the business owner. Who has the most risk here? The business owner carries most of the risk. So in China, business owners are higher than customers. We are what? When we're buying from a supplier, we're the customer. The business owner actually in China has a higher social status than we do. And again, add that to their mastery of negotiations, and you get a powerful force in business. Somebody told me a while ago, well, actually, I read a book about doing business in China from GE. It had the CEOs of GE, GM, Ford, many American companies that went to go to China, as well as the Chinese ambassador of business, and who came from Wall Street banking to go over and help China reform its banking systems. And one of the things he said that really set with me was that the Chinese business is never done until it's done, meaning negotiations never stop. We're used to, in America and Western countries, we're used to, I'm going to do this for you, you agree to it, a handshake, it's done, there's no more said about it. If for example, I quoted you, GGW came to you and said, hey, we'll do that project for you for $1,000. And you said, that's a good price, I'll do that. And then we found out it was going to cost us more and we were going to lose money. In the US, we'd have to eat it, because you may come back, but for the most part, it's almost expected that the business will eat it. They made the mistake, they didn't quote it correctly, it's their fault. In China, the opposite is true. In China, they'll come back and say, hey, I quoted you 2.4 RMB a unit, but based on what you asked us to do, it's actually costing me more. I need to charge you 3 RMB. Is that acceptable? And if you say no, then they'll move on. That's it. But they're going to come back. There is no such thing as that that same mentality, that same business acumen. The negotiation doesn't ever stop until you've paid for, even after you've paid for it, it's not really done. If you don't have the product in your hand, it's still not done. So I have actually seen cases where where a customer is paid 100% for their product, and then they still ended up having to pay more than they thought because they didn't get all the details. And that's kind of what we're talking about here is details. The details are very important. Okay, you have to be detailed when dealing with the Chinese, and details don't mean I want 1,000 red widgets. It's 1,000 red widgets packed a certain way in a certain kind of box, shipped exactly the same way, with this type of a logo at this color on this particular location on the device, with this amount of variances allowed, and it has to be done within this amount of time frame, shipped and landed by this time. And if those things don't happen, here are the repercussions or penalties. That kind of detail, even more. The more detail you can be, the better you protect yourself. So, knowing this, what can we do to ensure we're just not another statistic in the Chinese business people's addiction to get money at all costs as fast as possible? The answer is the contract, your order form. So your order form is a contract, right? This is the tool we can use to help us ensure we get what we expect, and that the results, and what the results are of not getting what we expect and pay for will be. You know, we in the West say, here's what we expect and here's what we're willing to pay. And we expect to get what we paid for. China doesn't work that way, and we have to understand that. And I've watched too many people be too loosey-goosey in this area, and then they have a problem when it doesn't happen exactly the way they want it to. But, you know, China doesn't work the way we do, so we have to understand that. So how do we do it? What's involved, right? What steps can we take as a small business to ensure we're protected without breaking the bank? And like I mentioned before, it really is ensuring that we are very detailed in our order forms in all aspects of this project that we're actually hiring these companies to do for us. So we need to make sure that we communicate well, that we get translators if we need them, that we understand exactly what's going to happen, and that they understand exactly what's going to happen, and that everybody agrees. If we can do that, we can protect ourselves fairly well. So now we know they're addicted. How do we break that cycle of addiction? I often have people telling me that they didn't get what they want or expected when buying in China. Even though when we go to China, I tell people, make sure you get your order forms. Make sure that it's written in Chinese and English. Make sure that you're detailed on what it is you're buying, how much, when. Okay, make sure that, you know, another great one, how about making sure that it's exactly the right number of products, or that they're not going to put in the wrong color, that it's specific, it's only one color, that the condition has to be top quality, it can't be a B grade or an off grade condition, that the materials you're specific in the material. So if you're using stainless steel to manufacture something, there are different grades of stainless steel. You have to be very specific on what that stainless steel is. And the list can go on and on and on. Plastics, there are so many different types of plastics, it's crazy. I recently bought a product that actually has been received very well and is selling well, but the quality of the plastic they used, it's too brittle. I don't know if you guys know what Tupperware is, but Tupperware is extremely flexible, right? And a very tough plastic. And I don't know what kind of polyresin it is, but what we got was not that flexible or that tough. It was something that had some flexibility, and it was lightweight, but it was not as that. It was brittle, so it will actually doesn't do well, and that was a problem, and it actually has caused us a problem with that product. And that's because I did not take the time to research the specific type of plastic that I wanted to have that made out of. That was my fault. I took a look at a sample, and it was what I was looking for. The quality was there, in the sample, but I did not check I did not do an inspection and check the product coming off the line to make sure it met the requirements of the sample. When we received it, everything looks good, but again, it's too brittle. So, you know, that's on me, and it actually hurts the reviews of my product that I'm selling. So we need to combat that problem, and help them understand what it is we're requiring and what we expect. And it's part of that negotiations. It's part of that never-ending negotiation with your Chinese supplier. In order to combat that whole get paid now, get the order out tomorrow mentality, we need to really be willing to understand more about our adversary. And it is almost an adversarial relationship. If you're a keen negotiator and you're detailed and you're organized, they respect you a lot more, and they look at you as a real business person. If you're loosey-goosey and not detail oriented and just kind of go with the flow, then they don't respect you that way at all. They actually look at you as kind of dumb. I mean, to be frank. So, you know, I kind of say it with all respect here, but we're the prey and they're the alpha when dealing with them. Remember, in their culture, business people are above the consumer. So I don't know about you guys. I'll tell you a story. I live in we live in Texas. The shop is here in Houston, right? And so we have a lot of people from South America, not just Mexico. We have a lot of people who are of Mexican heritage who live here, are Americans. But we also have a lot of people from Mexico that are not here. We have a lot of illegal aliens, a whole lot. Seriously, a lot. Salvador, Guatemala, Nicaragua, all of the countries, all the way, even including Panama, and then you can go into Colombia and those areas. We have a lot of them, and so they tend to come here, and a lot of them end up doing day labor. They're day laborers, and I don't know. They're probably all over the country. You can go to a Home Depot parking lot in the morning, and there's a day laborer there looking to get paid cash to do a day's work, and they want to work hard because they have to pay some coyote who brought them across multiple borders and across multiple countries and got them into the United States, and they have to pay them because the penalty for not paying them is extremely severe. It's really not a very cool thing at all. So they will say anything to you when you ask them a question in order to get the job. If you hired one and you said, "Have you done tile flooring?" they're going to say yes, even though they've never done it before, because they want the money, they want the work. The Chinese business person is also pretty good at telling you yes. You say, "I want this, and they go, "Yes, yes, yes." If you're not detailed, it will get you. If you're detailed, then you can protect yourself on that, because then you have, again, that contract, and you have some recourse to come back on. And that's really kind of the key, right? You need to be able to fill that contract out with this supplier and state what the recourse is and who's responsible for what. That really makes things happen. So understanding this dilemma, it's up to us to take responsibility for this problem. And in a joking manner, it's up to us to take responsibility for their addiction and work to stem the withdrawal symptoms, right? Ensure that we're detailed in the way we do their orders. If we have a purchase order to buy 100 red widgets with a logo on it, we need to ensure we specify exactly the color of red, how the paint and coloring is to be applied, the font style and size for the logo, the exact number of units, how they're going to be packaged, exactly where the logo or label is going to be placed on the product or packaging, and even how they're going to be packed, not just in a package for retail, but packed for shipping, because that's important, especially if you understand that the case limit on Amazon is 25 inches. And many times we will see products come into our fulfillment center here, and it's 27 inches or 30 inches, and the boxes are huge, and Amazon won't accept them. So then we have to open the box and repack it, and a consumer ends up paying to have that repackaged. So you can, the more detailed you can get, the more details you can account for. Actually, you can end up saving yourself money in many ways. Money in prep, money in shipping, money across the board. And you have to look at it that way. So we need to take our time with details when we go through the process. And, you know, for some of us, and I'm just going to mention this, for some of us, you know, those type of details aren't our strength. So having someone on our team or that's available to help us with those details is important, and it helps us be responsible for the outcome. And I'll say it again, and I'm pretty straightforward and to the point, guys. We are responsible. It's our fault. You're the business person. You're placing the order. You're finding the suppliers. You're negotiating the contract. It's your responsibility to take care of that. You can't blame it on somebody else, right? You can't blame it on somebody else. But on the contrary, Chinese culture also has a big challenge with saving face. So when you deal with a Chinese business person, if there's a problem, you really don't want to, how would we put that? You don't want to be accusatory. The old adage goes, you get more with honey than you do with vinegar, right? And you don't want to make them lose face. You don't want to send an email blasting someone. You don't want to send an email telling them their company sucks and they screwed everything up. You really don't want to do it. You don't want to do it with American companies, and I'll tell you why. And I'll be honest with you. If I see, we grew crazy fast last year. I mean, we went from 0 to $1 million in FBA prep in 9 months. 9 months. Crazy fast. Totally unexpected. Didn't know that was going to happen. We weren't prepared for it. I'm being straight up honest, right? We weren't prepared for it. And we had customers that had challenges or had not requirements, but they had requests for us to be able to do things, or they had timetables that we were going to have challenges in meeting. And I will tell you that my employees will prioritize people who deal with them professionally and in a professional business and amicable manner a lot better than they will with someone who just throws insults. Being a jerk never gets you anywhere. The Chinese, you can be a jerk a whole lot easier than you can in the U.S. In the U.S., you can say, I'm unhappy because this is wrong, and it's really your responsibility. Can you please help me resolve it? I want to work with you. I want to get this taken care of. In China, you can't say that. In the U.S., you could say that, and you know what? If I got that email from someone, I'd be like, you know what? You're exactly right. We want to make it right for you. Let's see how we can discount. We can do something, put you ahead of the line, whatever we need to do to make sure you're happy and taken care of, right? But in China, if you said they were wrong and they made a mistake, you immediately have caused them to lose face and put them on the defensive. And once they go on the defensive and dig their heels in, it's very hard from a distance to be able to get resolution. It's pretty damn hard to get resolution face to face. So you don't want to cause yourself a problem by not thinking ahead in a calm manner about what you're going to say and how you're going to say it. Because that's really, it's important, and it's part of their culture. Again, we're in their country, buying from them. We have to understand their culture and work through their culture to make things happen. If you do, they will look to make things right. Any good one will. Mistakes will happen, but they'll look to make it right. But understanding how to do that's going to make it happen. Remember, they're addicted to speed over quality. Their margins are small. They want to move that product out as fast as possible and get to the next customer, because for them, it's a volume play. How much can we get out as fast as possible? Okay, I'll give you an example. The sourcing agent that I've been using for a couple of years now makes 5% on what we buy. So if I buy $1 million worth of products, they only make $50,000 in a year with 8 employees and a warehouse. And you know, so that they don't make that much money off of you. And you know, manufacturers' margins, it's well known that the Chinese government does pay some companies money based upon how much product they've shipped out of the country to countries like the United States and other countries. How much product are they manufacturing and shipping out of the country? They may get a check at the end of the year, and that could be all their profit. So what do they want to do? They want to get that product out the door as fast as possible. And so quality can suffer. The other challenge with that is that if you don't do your due diligence on the person you're buying from and understand how big of a company there is, you can have challenges. I was showing some people last night in a webinar we did about how to source products online. And it was all just going over how to go online and source products. And I spent more time showing them how to do due diligence on the manufacturer and look at that manufacturer with a critical eye and understand the benefits and drawbacks. And one of the manufacturers we saw, their price looked good, everything looked good, but when you saw them, they did $1 million a year, they had 5 employees. I'm going to buy 50,000 units of product from them with 5 employees. They're going to have a very hard time filling my orders once I grow. And any of us that sell in e-commerce know that you grow really fast. You can grow very, very fast. You know, we have products that sell thousands of units a day, right? So, you know, 100,000 units, I buy 100,000 units plus a month of some of my products. A company with 5 employees would have a very hard time turning out that kind of volume. So understanding your supplier is really important. Those are the measures that we have to take to ensure that we have the right supplier, that we're detailed and organized enough to have put a good contract together, and make sure that that we do a good job to protect ourselves and to negotiate correctly. So, you know, if we don't do that, the alternative is the product's going to be done really quick, but it's probably going to, you know, from a quality grade standard, it may be B stock type quality, and you may not be happy with what you get, and it could cause you to have challenges, like I told you with that plastic product that we've been selling that started out really, really well, but it's starting to get some feedback hits, and it's mostly because there are certain parts of the plastic that are more brittle than they should be. Now, what can we do to solve that? Be detailed, reorder, ensure we tell them what kind of plastic, where we need things beefed up and strengthened to make and resolve those problems the customers have told us. Product's not dead, but it definitely needs to be fixed, and that's what we can do to fix it. So, and I don't know about you guys, but in my experience in China, they really don't get it, and I'll go to suppliers, because everybody goes to China and tries to negotiate with them on a lower price. It's always, can I have it cheaper, can I have it cheaper, can I have it cheaper? I kind of have taken an opposite stance with that, and I go to China and say, I'll pay you more for a better product. Can you make this better? Can we make this thicker? Can we use better material? Can you make sure that it's painted better? Can we coat it with this instead of this? I make sure to let them know I'll pay if we do that. It really takes them by surprise most of the time when I approach them in that way. But I find that if I let them know that I'm willing to pay for it to be better, they tend to do a little bit better work for me. So we should do our best to inspect our products before we pay for them, before they're even shipped out. And this is a challenge for a lot of people, and it's definitely a challenge when you're buying from Tmall, Alibaba, DHgate, or any of the Chinese wholesale sites, because of something I call Alibaba Arbitrage. And those of you who've been and done retail arbitrage or online arbitrage on Amazon understand exactly what I'm saying. And that is, a lot of the sellers aren't really the manufacturer, they're a middleman, and they don't have any of that inventory in stock. They have good photos and they put up a nice listing. They give you a lowball price a lot of times to get you attracted to them. Then what they do is get 30% deposit down from you. They get a 30% down, then they go and source the product. The product costs 30%. So basically, you've given them 100% of the money that the actual real cost of that product is, and then they ship it, you pay for it. Well, they don't ship it, they show you that they got it, and then you pay 100% and pay to ship it out, and then you get it. There's challenges with that, and that is that you don't get to see what that product is like before you ship it out and you've paid for it. One of the ways that we deal with that is we hire third-party inspection to inspect goods based upon a detailed testing document that will state exactly what's to be inspected, the challenges that we want them to look for, what do we want them to look for, and also what is acceptable and what is not. For example, I have some textile products that are sewn together, and you have to determine when they sew with the sewing machine, and they'll cut the thread and move to sew another area, and there's a piece of thread hanging out. There's actually a word for it. I forgot what it is right now. But that piece of thread is hanging out. Well, a really good shop will trim that thread, and it won't be hanging out. Or they'll trim it down. They don't cut it down into the material, but they'll trim it down, and it'll be really small and unnoticeable. Others won't, because they want to go fast, and it takes time to go back and clip all those little hanging chad. We'll take something from Al Gore and W's election. It's just like Florida's hanging chad. Huh. So it takes time to go through and clip all those hanging chads off. Because I can't remember the word, Jeff. Maybe you can look it up in Google while I'm doing this. Anyway, so that takes time, which means it costs them more money. They don't go as fast. They don't get as much done. So it's important to make sure that you communicate to your manufacturer that you want that trimmed down to 1/8 of an inch. And then you have a third-party inspection company that inspects the product and ensures that they are trimmed to that the count is correct, that it's the exact product, that it's the right material, that it's got double stitching, that it has a backing and a liner in every single pocket, and blah, 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 that the zippers are made this way. I'm kind of using that whole textile example for you guys. And then the inspection report is delivered to you, and you deem it as acceptable, then you make your payment. This is an interesting challenge, and it sounds great, but it's not the only problem. First, you have a cost with inspection, and if you got really small purchases, and if we go to China and you can buy 1,000 units of something for $500, and you're going to pay another $250 to have someone inspect it, you've added 50% to the cost of your product with those little bitty orders. Now, if you got a $20,000 or $30,000 order, man, $200 is nothing. It would be irresponsible of a business owner not to go ahead and pay that money to have it inspected. So you got to do a cost analysis of your product and how much the risk is to see if it supports the additional cost of hiring a third-party inspection company to do that. And in my experience, not all suppliers will even agree to allow a third-party inspection company to be in their manufacturing facility checking those products as they come off the line and are put in boxes. So making sure that your supplier will even accept those terms is important. And a lot of times it's because they know that they're going to fail that inspection, and then they're going to be holding the bag on a bunch of low-quality product that they have to unload. And that'll also tell you the difference between a really good manufacturer that wants to work with you and wants to do well versus a not so good manufacturer. And if you are a small buyer, you're more likely to get pushback. They don't want you to waste their time on $500 orders, and by tying up their production lines with someone who's doing an inspection of every single product coming off the line. you're tying them up. And what you're making them, let's say they make $5 off of that. Let's say they profit $2.50 on your $500 order, but you tying up the line slows down a $10,000 order. The reality is you're not worth it. So they'll just decline. One of the ways you can deal with that, is what I call alternative medicine. Right? I worked with a $240 million U.S. company. 120 million of that was to Walmart, and the rest of it was other retailers throughout the U.S. And they had some of their most successful products made in China. These were the textile products, and that's why I know a little bit about the stitching and the things like that. This was before, before Google Hangouts and Facebook Live. We're talking in 2008, 2009, while I was still in IT. And they had the same problem. The companies wanted to throw stuff out, and they tried a lot of different things to resolve it. They employed locals to manage the manufacturing, to make sure that the manufacturers manufactured to their specs. But that didn't help because the locals were probably related or knew or could be bought and paid for by the manufacturer, and so their quality didn't improve, even though they had people specifically who they hired there whose job it was to make that happen. So that didn't solve anything. So then they started sending a U.S. team every month to China to the manufacturer to inspect production and report back. But it was costing them $30,000 a month, $360,000 a year to send these people there. They weren't in the U.S. They weren't moving forwards on new things. It was tying them up, and the cost was prohibitive. So what I did was install video conferencing in the Chinese facility. We ran a T1 line to the U.S., to their corporate headquarters, had video conferencing and did live video conferencing, and had them pull products off the line and show them, and they could share files, they could mark things up, and they could do things live. And that was the resolution, because that was $3,000 a month versus $30,000 a month, and it could be running all the time, and it tended to work a lot better for them. But one of the other things they did that worked out really well is something that I've adopted. I have a sample pulled off the line and overnighted to me to review and report back. I currently actually am breaking in and working with a new sourcing agent. They're brand new. I'm using them to help me source products, so looking for manufacturers and specific materials to find me products. We're going through our first order, and the first thing I requested from them was that I need a sample pulled and boxed up and overnight it to me in the U.S. Then I can review that sample and see and determine or not whether I want to move forward based upon that sample, or ask them to make adjustments and changes based on what I find. Now, this costs a little bit of time, but it's really cheap if we look at it. $75 to overnight the product to the U.S. is cheap. It's cheaper than flying there. It's cheaper than hiring a company to stand around and look at it. There's a lot less pushback, so it seems to be effective and the least costly way to make it happen. And the way I'll have those samples pulled is basically prior, during, and post. Well, not even post, but what we call post-production. So I'll have a pre-production sample sent to me. So we'll work up a design, logos, colors, paints, negotiate all that stuff in the contract, and then I ask them to do a pre-production sample. So I want you to make one and send me a sample so I can see what it's going to look like. So I get a pre-production sample. I can look at that. I can critique it, look for changes, anything I want to adjust, have them do that. If I make changes, I'm going to ask them to make those changes and send me another sample so I can see the changes in effect. Once that's approved, they're approved to begin production. Mid-production, I'll have them pull another sample and ship it to me to ensure that the quality is still within the starting part of the production run, that it stays solid. And then I'll have them pull a post-production sample as well, which is basically the last one off the line. Send it to me, I want to see what that's like as well. This works well for larger runs. For really short runs of a few hundred products, I may just get a pre-production, go through approval, and then once they start producing, have them pull me one and ship it. and that allows me to at least get on it. And what it tells them is I'm paying attention and I want to see quality all the time, right? And without having to say it, without having to embarrass anybody or anything else, this is just standard business practice for us, and this is how we want. This is how we do it. This is negotiated in our contract, and how we want to make things happen. And it's a very inexpensive and easy way to do it for smaller initial orders. You know, up to like 1,000 or 2,000, 3,000 units. This works really well. It can work well in larger runs too, but you know, once you start putting down some serious cash, personally, I would hire the inspection company to inspect everything coming out the door. So there's many ways that you can, you know, kind of combat that speed addiction, but the best way is to be consistent and detailed in your planning and your communication of your instructions, and be very specific. And also ensure that there are penalties if the requirements aren't met. You're creating an agreement with them. You agree to pay them for the product that you want. If they fail in any of the areas that you specified, then there needs to be some type of a penalty. Now, and I'm going to go over this and get off this a little bit as well, is generally they're not going to give you money back. I haven't really. I've had them discount things. I've had them redo the product. I've had them do a lot of those things. But once the cash has left your hands, you ain't getting it back. Generally, the penalties are going to be discounts. They're going to reproduce any items that don't meet the quality standard. You know, so you have them make 1,000 units, and you check them, and there's X units that don't meet the standard, that they have to redo those units and up to standard, and that's the repercussion. That only works if you have somebody in China inspect and check that stuff out, because once it leaves China, has been shipped to you, it basically, in their mind, you've accepted it and everything's okay. So all of these things take time, and it's really good to have someone who speaks both English and Chinese to help you, especially fluent English, because if you've ever looked at the names of these Chinese companies in English, they don't make any sense to us. And vice versa. English doesn't translate into Chinese exactly, and Chinese doesn't translate into conversational English exactly either. So someone who understands both and understands the nuances can help you accomplish that a little bit better. That's where a good sourcing agent will come into play. A good sourcing agent that speaks English and understands how to work with the Chinese suppliers can help you do that, and can be your most valuable asset or your biggest problem. And trust me, I know I've had that and have had to deal with that. So while we're looking for the rehab center doctor to help our Chinese partners get off their speed and money problems, we should employ alternative medicine techniques to help them reduce the withdrawal symptoms and understand what it is that we're looking for. Now, all this being said, you guys may want some help with this. So, whoops. So we do that. That's what we do. We go to Asia and we introduce you to manufacturers. We show you how to find sourcing agents. We introduce you to sourcing agents. We warn you of the challenges and help you negotiate the deals in the best favor that you can get them in, as well as educate you, like we're doing today, on the potential pitfalls and what you can do to resolve them. We help you with the logistics. We help you with the packaging. We teach you ways to save money in both shipping and packaging and other ways, as well as helping you understand how to launch products. We're doing a super sourcing experience in Asia. We have 2 locations this year. I'm doing a dual trip. It's not one or the other. It can be one, it can be the other, or it can be both. And most people that are going this year are going to do both. It's a total of about 10 days, a little bit more when you consider travel, but 5 days in Thailand, full-on sourcing at the Thai Manufacturer Fair. There's a large fair in Thailand where they bring manufacturers from across all of Thailand together, and we can go and we get to meet these manufacturers, look at what they can do for us, and see if there's opportunities. We have feet on the street there, people who live in Thailand that are partners in GDW, so we have local presence. They speak very good English. Prices are very competitive and comparable to China in many ways. And there are some things that they just do really, really well. And so that's a good place to go. We're going to go experience Thailand, do that. The food and hotel and all that stuff is super cheap. Round trip airfare to Thailand right now is $500 from the U.S. I mean, it's cheap. And then China is a real quick flight from Thailand. It's 6 hours versus 15 hours, 15 and a half hours is what it takes me to get to Shanghai. So it's a real quick flight into China, and then we're going to go to China, and we'll do Yiwu in April. And also, we've scheduled it to coincide with or butt up against Canton, so you can actually hit Canton as well if that's something you are interested in doing. And you can really make a great sourcing trip out of that. We're going to do the manufacturers fair in Thailand, and then in China we're going to do daily market tours. We have a travel concierge help you get your visa. We've got blocks of discounted hotel rooms in China. In Thailand, we went and set up a deal with them as well, or was it in Thailand? We have the Novotel, and we have a block of rooms at a discount for everybody there. But in China, actually, we found better rates than they gave us in our block of rooms online. So the travel concierge will help you with that stuff. So you get discounted hotel accommodations, help you with travel, all that kind of stuff, understanding where you got to go and how to get there. We do pre-trip webinars where I go over kind of these markets and what they look like and kind of the information that you need to have prior to going. The pre-trip webinar, we've really refined that. It's really good because it goes over a lot of the things that you need to know, what it's going to look like, how the things are going to work every single day, what you need to bring, how you're going to communicate, what tools we're going to need to have access to while we're there, how do you deal with phone, how do you do Wi-Fi, how do you get online, can you check your Gmail, all that kind of stuff. We're going to go over that. And then we do a series of post-trip webinars. It's usually between 6 and 8. It averages about 7. It just depends on how fast you guys are, what all we didn't cover while we were there, because we do masterminding every single day on this trip. So every day we're going to go over how to sell, how to launch, photography, packaging, all these different things. So you get a lot of great information during the trip. And then we do post-trip webinars where we go over the process and launching and what is FBA prep and what does it look like and why do you need it and how much is it going to cost and what does shipping cost and all those kind of things are going to happen. You get a private interactive GGW Asia trip Facebook group where you can keep in touch with the people. We go together and spend 10, 15 days together. You tend to develop some really good relationships. Those things are invaluable. And so you have a private group, a private WhatsApp group as well, where you can still keep talking to me. You can ask me questions. Our team is there to help. Plus, everybody in the group that went together all get to stay together and continue to work together and grow our businesses together. Because as we mastermind, we learn a lot about each other, and we learn that every person has different skill sets and are stronger than in some areas than others. So it definitely helps out. I do office hours while we're there, which basically what I do is make myself available on a schedule for you to be able to come and talk if you're having challenges, if you're looking at things and you want an objective set of eyeballs to look at your mathematics or your rationale for doing something, or a bundle that you're looking at putting together, or your contract, and here's what you negotiated, or anything like that. We do that every day. Again, we do the masterminds, and then we do that over dinner. Dinner will be family style. The dinners are excellent, really good. We provide any group transportation to activities, and I do try to pull out and at least do a couple, at least one side activity, one organized side activity. I do a lot of side activities, but I'll do one main organized side activity during the trip for everybody to go look at and experience local culture, and that's always a lot of fun. So we cover and take care of that. We also introduce you to sourcing agents and companies that you can continue to work with after you've gone. So you're going to get a personal introduction into, say, a sourcing agent. And by the way, if you're the best way to get a good relationship in China is to be introduced by someone who has a good relationship. They have a uh, their trust factor looks like a dartboard, and in the center of the dartboard, the bullseye, that's the people they trust the most. And the only name in there is family. If you're not family, you're not there. The next ring on the dartboard are friends. So a friend is the second ring on the board, and it's probably where most of us can get to if we do well and treat them well and understand their culture and work with them. And then the third ring are associates, just people who they meet. You contact them about buying stuff, and you start doing a little business with them. You're not a friend; you're just an associate, and that's kind of the third ring on the dartboard. And then the last ring is no trust at all, and that's basically everybody else. So if you get introduced to someone, so for example, if I introduce you to my sourcing agents that I've been using for years and have a really good relationship with, then you get some of my chi, and you get some of my relationship handed to you, and it makes it better for you. So we do that with both manufacturers and sourcing agents, so you're going to be able to get that. And then we, of course, provide the third-party logistics, so we ship containers. We have some of the most aggressive shipping rates. We just got a container in, what was it, last week, I think, Jeff?
It's been almost 2 weeks now, yeah.
I mean, okay, so yeah, I know what it was. We just started billing. We were billing it out, and it was crazy. We were looking at people who were paying 0.007 pennies. That's not 7 cents. That's 7/10 of 1 penny per unit in shipping. Because what we do is kind of a co-op container shipping. It means I put my stuff in, and I'm ordering in containers. You guys get to take up extra space, and we get to get larger containers, and we share the cost based on the percentage of the container that we do. And so it's kind of a co-op, a container co-op. So you get extremely aggressive and very, very good rates. We also, of course, are a prep company, so we do labeling, packaging. We have a lot of automation, and our basic packaging looks very professional. We can do shrink wrap, we can do boxing, we can do poly bagging, we can do quite a bit. And other services that we support stateside that we can help you with. So, these things are available to you. It's a great trip. You can look at the page at gdwinc.com/Asia. There's testimonials from a lot of other people who've been on the trips with us. Everybody who goes on the trips, they really love the trips, and many of them go back again and again without us, because once you've gone one time and we've made those introductions, you now have feet on the street. You now have someone that can help you with inspection. You have someone who can help you with packaging. You have someone who can help you with negotiations. You start to get those relationships and things put together for you to help you make that happen. So we have an early bird discount. It ends next Friday. We've only got it for basically another 8 days. So it's a $500 early bird discount. So make sure you go take a look at the page, check it out. All the details are there, and I think you'll enjoy it if you get an opportunity to come and do that. So now I'm going to take a drink of a Coke here because I've been talking a lot. Mr. Mike Daly, hey, I didn't see Mike's on here, and John's on here, and Veronica's on here, and quite a few people. These are all people who've been. John Rosh, how many times you been, buddy? Multiple times? John says, every webinar I listen to Alan, I hear a new gem. Thanks for making these webinars open to everybody. John, it's really true, and I'm really working really hard right now to to bring out a lot of new good information. And every time we learn something, John's been on trips with us and he's seen the challenges. He knows what they are. Mike has been on the trips with us. Veronica has been on the trips with us, and they've seen those challenges. And I'm really trying, we've learned from those challenges, and we're trying to help educate other people and make sure that you guys don't have those same challenges. And we're looking at, how can we put people, systems, and processes in place to make things better, because it's about continual improvement. So thanks, man. I appreciate that, John, a lot. Mike, travel dates. What's the website? Let's sneak over there and take a look. Because I know it's in April. I think it's the 19th, but I'm trying to.
Yeah, it's the April 18th through the 1st. That includes travel days and everything.
Yeah, so Thailand is the April 18th through the 24th. We're actually traveling the 18th. We're actually doing the event the 19th through the 24th. Then isn't it the 24th or the 25th is the travel day to Yiwu. It's a 6-hour flight, so it's really not too painful. This trip, we're not going to fly into Shanghai. We can, and I would recommend, if any of you who are going, you go to Thailand. And when we leave Thailand, you can get a flight directly into the second airport in Shanghai. Shanghai has 2 airports. It has one called Pudong that we normally fly. That's the only one we really can fly in direct from the States. Otherwise, you have to go up to Beijing or somewhere else and then come up to get there. It's not a direct flight airport. But from Thailand, we can fly into that airport. And the beauty is we fly into that airport, we walk 2 gates down, and we're at the high-speed mag rail train station. It's inside the airport. It's like in the same terminal. So you just walk down two little things, and you're in the train station, and we're going to get the high-speed mag train tickets right then, and boom, an hour and a half later, we're in Yiwu. And then it's just a taxi ride from there to the hotel. So it's a lot simpler than the other way around. So we'll do that. Then when we go to Yiwu, we will go there the 24th through May 1st. May 1st is the day we would, close the event, and everybody would go either to Canton or go wherever they plan on traveling to or from at that point. And in Yiwu, we'll do market days every day. We'll do all that stuff happening. So, and again, the trip includes both locations. So you get to do both of them for one, and flying to Thailand from the U.S. is super cheap. And then flying from Thailand to China is also really cheap. Last time I went, I did a last-minute flight on the day I left. It cost me $400 round trip. So it cost me $400 from Shanghai to Thailand, and that was last minute that day. Bought the ticket, no prepaid. So we're quite a few weeks out. So being able to get those tickets and do it now, like I said, I just looked at it with Josh, who's coming with us, and Josh showed me his ticket price looking on. I think he was looking at Travelocity or one of those, and it was $505 round trip. So it was crazy cheap. So great time. It's April, weather's nice, not too crazy hot, not like the August trip, but a really nice time to go. And we get to go to Thailand and China, and it's going to be a lot of fun. You get to go through it. It's going to be a great one. This page has a lot of details in it, guys, so you can go through. There's a whole lot. Just tells here's the Bangkok side, what we're going to do there. Here's a list of the different products that are manufactured in Thailand, and I wouldn't have thought of that. You go online and look on YouTube, and you don't see all this. You see the food and hotel and kind of that stuff, but not the fact that they manufacture health and medical equipment, home and garden, luggage, machinery, sporting equipment, accessories, telecommunications. There's a lot. So, and then basically we got the Yiwu side, and here's the details on what's going to happen there. So if you guys want to go look at that, go right ahead. Of course, we're going to talk about the launch prep. Okay, we're going to do masterminds and office hours. We're going to go out and have some fun. This was a Thai restaurant. with both these two were representatives from our sourcing agents in China, and then everybody else was part of the group that attended. Here's a bus. We hired a bus and took everybody to a fun place to go, a cultural place to go and eat and enjoy. So that was a bus trip to that place. It was a lot of fun. So there's a lot of good details on what we're going to do, a lot of things like that, some testimonials, and I think at the bottom, yep, even some videos. So if you're willing to go through all that stuff and go all the way to the bottom, these are all people, well, all the ones with this background are people who have been on the trip. These people have been to some of our masterminds, so you can kind of see what people are saying and what they thought of the trip, and hopefully we'll be able to see you guys, some of you guys, there. All right, what do we got? Price for the trip? Where is it? Is it on the page, Jeff? Should be. It's the same price we always. It's the same price as normal. I think it's 5,500, and if you come in early bird, it's 5,000. Isn't that roughly?
Yeah.
That's what it is. So early birds get the 500 out there. Mike, thanks for letting me know that. So anyway, if you guys have any questions on order forms or ordering or anything like that, I've got a little bit more time I can hang out with you guys. We've already been at it for an hour, so I want to get through that, and then I got to get back and get to work on my other job. So Jeff, I mean, Jeff has been with me once. What would you say? Well, I mean, John Rosh, Mike Daly, Veronica, you guys have all been with me here. For those of you that haven't been, I mean, there's a lot of people in this webinar right now who have been there. Steve, I think you're scheduled to come, or Steve went on the last one. Steve Hemning, you were there. Maria, so quite a few of you guys were there. Yeah, Gregorio Regino. Hey, Gregorio, man, I haven't seen you since the last trip. How's it going, man? How is it going? So, good to see you guys. Mark Levin, he's been on a trip, and Mark's going again. Man, you guys, once you go, and I told this to Mark Levin, and I'm not, and it's true. I'm there to teach you to be able to do this without me, so that you can do it yourself over and over again. My goal is to educate you and arm you so that you can go and make it happen. Now, if you want to come with us again, and there's quite a few people who have, the last trip we went in January, and there were two of my previous students that had come were there. And so, you know, it's like, hey, what's going on, man? Come and hang out with us, because, you know, I'd love for previous students to come and be able to talk to the new people and let them know what they found out. And I think the consensus was the same, and Mark and Steve and John Rosh, I think you'll probably key in on this one. Mike Daly, you probably will too. Is that the second time you're not as nervous, and you have the process down and you understand it, so you're more efficient and you actually do even better. Because the first time it was like, ooh, I don't know what's up. But after that, it gets a lot better. But you're empowered with the relationships and those things to be able to do it on your own. That's our goal. We're a FBA prep company, and I have an e-commerce company that I've been running for a long time. I've been on Amazon for a long, long time, and have multiple Amazon accounts. So I know what it takes to do that, and to make that happen as far as selling and make it move like that. But our goal on the prep side is or on the sourcing side is for you guys to be educated to go and do this on your own. So cool. Hopefully you guys got some good nuggets out of this, and are ready to make it happen, and are ready to grow your business, because it's definitely about winning on the buy, and not taking care of your sales orders, not being detailed, not being empowered to understand that, and being responsible for your own purchases will definitely cause you problems and moving forwards. And I know John Rosh can tell you, he's on the webinar now, John can tell you that he definitely had a couple of interesting challenges in his products. You know, you source 20 products and a couple of them have challenges. That doesn't mean you stop. It also a lot of times just means you make adjustments. I think who was it? One person today went on the October trip. No, the January trip. He's just getting his products in, and and he was having an interesting one that he brought up. He bought something that was made out of a natural material, like a natural wood, and wood is different. So every product is kind of unique because every piece of wood is 100% different from the last piece of wood. And so when he got it, it didn't look exactly like the pictures of the samples that he had, and he was concerned that he was going to sell it on Amazon and people were going to have a problem. But luckily, he PM'd me in WhatsApp group because we keep the WhatsApp group and I stay active and help people. But he PM'd me and told me what his concern was, and I empowered him, gave him, and told him what to do to help resolve that. And so now he's feels comfortable and can move forward. So that's why I'm here, and I find that I can do a lot more help if you can come to me with good information. I'm always willing to give you the benefit of my experience and help you overcome the challenges that we call business every single day. Other than that, I do have to get back to work, guys. So if you guys don't have anything else, I would like to hand it over to Mr. Jeff.
Alrighty. Awesome as always. I would completely, I know I'm a little biased, but I would completely concur and agree with everyone that, yeah, I mean, every time we do one of these, it seems like they get better and better and better. I think that's why we are addicted to them, because we love doing them just as much as you guys love participating and engaging. And, thanks a lot. It's the middle of the day for a lot of you, some of you, and I don't, depending on where you are, it may be the middle of the night, tomorrow morning. Either way, your time is your greatest asset, and being on here, we definitely appreciate it and don't take that for granted. Without that, we would not even do these or have these. So thanks again, and we will talk to you again really, really soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.